Have you ever wanted to learn how to sell something on eBay and make a career out of it? Well, on this week's episode, I'm excited to bring on Michelle Hougland as a guest. Michelle has been a successful online entrepreneur for over 17 years with multiple streams of income. She was desperate to replace her dental career income years ago so she could stay home with her newborn. So she decided to jump into the online business world with just passion and zero experience. She quickly learned how to succeed and thrive as an online entrepreneur. Over the years, she has received awards such as eBay Top Seller and Powerseller. She has taught on many stages, but her favorite platforms are on YouTube and her podcast, Paladin Global Market. Introducing the founder of Paladin Global Market, Michelle Hougland. Welcome to the Vijay Kaila Show, everyone. On today's episode, I'm excited to have Michelle Hougland join us. Michelle, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Vijay. It's great to be here.
It's great to have you. I saw your profile and it's actually really interesting. You do a lot of stuff on eBay, and eBay was something I think is one of my first business ideas. I never did anything with it. I remember creating an eBay account back in 2012 to try to buy stuff from China and try to sell it, but I never pulled the trigger on it. So when I came across your profile, I'm like, I gotta hear about success stories about this. So tell me more about you and how you got into eBay.
Yes, I love eBay. So I've been a reseller online on eBay since 2005, so 18 years. And I was in my dental career. At the time, I was pregnant with my first little one, home on maternity leave, every intention to return back to work. And then the first time alone with her, holding her and looking down, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't leave her. What am I thinking? I have got to figure out a way to be able to make an income at home so I could stay home with her, because I knew she's only going to be little once and I wanted to make the most of the time. So fast forward, I saw an infomercial on TV. Normally don't order from infomercials, but I did, and was teaching how to sell on eBay. And I just figured it out. It was a bumpy road at first because no one was really teaching it. So that's why I'm so passionate to help teach others how to do it, to kind of fast track them, so to say.
Okay, so you saw an infomercial, you learned it yourself, you became successful, and then with that, now you're helping other people become successful.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so let's dive a little bit deeper into this. So tell me more about your first product, or what was your first experience like with eBay? You said it was kind of difficult at the beginning, but then you got it going. So let's talk about the beginning.
Yes. So after I set up my account like you did, and I was like, okay, so now I got to find something. The course I purchased said, well, go look around your house and see if you can find some things you don't want anymore. And let's try on that. So I had this old gold ring that I no longer wanted. I was like, this could work. All right. So I tried that and I listed it as an auction, which I don't recommend anybody do at this time. That's only for rare circumstances. Now the platform's changed. And I remember, I'll never forget the day when I looked down. It was about 2 days after I listed it. And I looked down and I had my first bid. And I was like, oh my gosh, this could really work. This is so cool. Ended up selling the ring for way less than I would have taken today, but it was a learning experience. And then when I packaged and shipped it off to someone in another state, I realized the power of online businesses, because there's no way I would have passed this person, normally, but through the power of eBay and through online, they connected the dots and I had my first buyer and I was hooked from there and have learned a lot since that time.
That's amazing. Tell me about that feeling you felt when someone bought it. Was it at a price you were okay selling it at, or was it kind of, oh crap, I can't believe that I sold it for such a low price?
No, it was at a good price because it was just sitting in my drawer and I didn't want it anymore. So the feeling that you get when you see that, so I still, I've been doing this for almost 2 decades, and I have to admit, when I get these little sold notifications, I still get that. It's like this little jump of excitement inside. It's like, wow, this is still working. And I'm hooked. It's quite addictive, as you can imagine.
Right. So after you sold that ring, what was the next thing that you used to feel this addiction?
So then I started after I went through my house, and there were some other items that weren't as memorable to me. But then I realized, okay, now I've got to figure out if I want to try to resign from my dental career and stay home with my little one, I'm going to need a steady source of inventory. So that started my journey going out throughout my city, going to garage sales, estate sales, thrift stores, government auctions, storage auctions, you name it, I tried it. The next thing that was memorable to me during that time, that learning phase, was I went to this thrift store and I asked the lady, because I love cameras, old cameras. And I said, do you have any old cameras? She's like, oh, yeah, I have a box in the back. Let me go grab it. And she didn't seem to really understand the value of the cameras. I offered her, like, I think it was like $20 for the whole box. And there's about 15 cameras in there. And she was, yep, great. And I walked out. I started to list it later that evening and realized that one of the cameras in there was a rare old white Polaroid camera. And I believe I made about $100 off of that one. So that was like my first big flip, so to say. And I was hooked. It just from there, it's just time and time again finding things, getting them low, or now I do consignment, so I get my inventory for free and getting to sell it. It is so cool.
Oh, let's talk about consignment. What is consignment for all of us who've never heard that term before?
Yes. So consignment is basically, I provide a service where people have, think about it. I'm sure you have things in your closet, in your garage, things that you don't want to just give away because you know there's value there, but it's kind of like gnawing at you, like, I should do something. Maybe I should try to sell it myself or donate it or anything like that, or garage sale. But consignment is having those items given into my care. And then I do a market comp. So I just see, kind of like when you're looking at houses, they give comps on what the going rate and value of the homes are. It's the same thing with items online. And so I go through my steps where I figure out what's the current market value for those items, see if it's a good item. Not everything's a good item for eBay. And so seeing if it's a good item, seeing how much I estimate it should sell for. And then from there, I do sell it for them. Once it sells, I get paid a commission off that final price.
Interesting. So the people who have the item, they still keep it. You just sell it on their behalf, and then you only get paid only if it sells.
No, most, about 90% of the time, I take it into my own care, because with eBay, I was awarded Powerseller, and then they transitioned that into top rated plus seller. Excuse me, I have 100% positive feedback score. And because to
Wow,
maintain
congrats.
that status, thank you. I'm very protective over it. So I offer next day shipping. So I need to make sure the items are in my care so I can ship it out immediately the next day upon payment, and I don't have to go chase the client down for their item. So I take it in my care. Now, I do sell vehicles for my consignment clients as well on eBay Motors and other platforms. So for them, I let them hold their vehicles until I sell it. But everything else I bring into my care.
Okay, so just from this conversation, it looks like you started with the ring, you started going bigger, now you're in vehicles. So let's jump over there. This is really interesting to me.
Yes. So the biggest one I've sold so far, I just sold an RV earlier this year from one of my YouTube viewers. Actually, I was trying to teach people how to sell on eBay Motors, and I've gotten so many clients reach out to me and just ask me to sell them for them. And so the RV, I think it was about 120,000, which was definitely my record so far of what I've sold on eBay in one purchase or one sale. But yeah, it's been really cool because a lot of people don't want to trade their vehicles in because they know they're trading it to a middleman. So they're going to be taking less than the actual value of the vehicle, but they're intimidated by trying to sell it themselves, not wanting to get either scammed or not knowing the paperwork that they're going to need, and just not knowing where to start. So that's when they entrust it into my care, and I walk it through the whole process. And it's a really, really good for my business too. It can be pretty lucrative.
Okay, so I'm definitely extremely interested in this. So let's say I have a vehicle I'm looking to sell. How does the entire process work? Do I reach out to you, or why wouldn't I just go on eBay, try to sell it myself? Is it because I don't know how to, or what does bringing you into the picture offer?
Excellent question. So you could definitely go and try to sell it yourself, but because you're trying to sell a vehicle, that most vehicles are thousands of dollars. And if you're on eBay and you haven't built up your trust, your feedback score, and your time on the platform, you're trying to ask people to entrust thousands of dollars into your care when you have a zero feedback score or a very new account. So they're concerned it could be spammy. The other thing is, when I list it on my own account, which I'm extremely, like I said, very protective to make sure that I keep the rating that I've worked so hard to get. um, people, I get higher in the search results. So more potential buyers will see my listings over a new account because I have several things set in place that eBay rewards me, their algorithm, so to say, helps to see my listings more.
Got it. So people use you so they can rank higher and you just have a better trust compared to someone who just started out because they don't have a track record.
That and the other thing I've found, a lot of the clients that have reached out to me is they're successful clients that have their own businesses, and time's another thing. They could try to figure this out. They don't have, because you could sell on other platforms than just eBay Motors for vehicles, but they just don't have the time. They don't want having to deal with the customer service, all the inquiries, and they honestly just don't know how to seal the deal at the end. They don't know how to receive proper payments to make sure it doesn't come back on them, make sure that they're protected in what the DMVs require, and so on. So it's just easier for them to do what they specialize in, which is running their business, and let me do what I have experience doing, which is selling their vehicles.
That's perfect. That's how every successful business runs, right? It's all about specializing in one thing
Yes.
and delegating everything else out. So
Yeah.
let's say I bring you on to, I guess, sell my car. How does the process look like for you, just for our audience or listeners and viewers to kind of understand how this business works on your end?
Yeah. So I had to back up. Sell it in two different ways. If it's local in my city, then typically I'll gather a lot of the information over the phone or through text or email. And then I'll go actually to the site and do all the photography. I've many moons ago do wedding photography. So I'd like to think that my pictures are better than average, but do all the photography and the listings and gather the information. But I have to say, Vijay, the majority of my clients come from all over the United States. And so I never see these vehicles in person. So when they reach out to me, then we set up a Zoom time. We'll talk like you and I are doing right now, face to face through video, ask all the questions that I need. Then if they want to proceed forward, then I give them a list of the documents that I'll need to get started. And then I send them a broker agreement and just lay out so they have peace of mind what to expect in the process. And then from there, we schedule. I send out a photographer to do the photos and a video. And once I get that information, I start I like to call it my hooks in the water. I use the platforms that I've seen have done really well in the past. I'll start putting those ads out there and maintaining the ads and waiting for our right buyer to come along.
That's really cool. So you most of the time don't even see these vehicles. You get photos and get the documents, you upload them, and then you just kind of broker exactly like you said to find the right buyer. And then let's say the right buyer comes along. How does the physical transportation or trading actually take place?
Yes. So once I have found the right buyer, and I always like to say my spidey senses aren't going off. I don't feel like it's a spam or a scammer. I feel like it's a legit buyer that's ready to go. Then I will then orchestrate meeting at the buyer's bank, and I'll have my client. I prepare it's selling day. I prepare step by step. This is what to expect. This is what we'll do. And then they will meet the buyer at the bank. And then once they have funds verified, then they will sign the paperwork that I have prepared up and already emailed over to them. And then from there, everything's good to go. Exchange payment, give them the keys, give them the vehicle, and everybody drives off happy. And, buyer with their new vehicle and the seller with their cash in hand, cashier's check. And then I invoice them for my services after that's completed and done.
Okay, so you literally don't meet anyone in person. You just sit at your home, which is amazing, by the way,
Yes,
and you
yes.
build together this contract. You bring together people, you finish the deal, and then only after that you invoice them.
Yes, I like to operate on a trust factor. I feel that inherently people are good. Yes, you're going to have a bad apple here and there, people that don't, abuse the system. But I've been working with these people usually at this point between typical vehicles will sell between 2 weeks to like the luxury RV that I sold took about 3 months. The higher end vehicles take longer to find the right buyer. So I'm working with them. I do weekly check-ins with them. You get a rapport built up. And I would rather err on trust than not. So for me and myself and my business, I have it set up that I will invoice them at the end. And I haven't had any issues yet with that process.
That's amazing. It's that you give people benefit of the doubt. People feel heard. They feel
Yeah.
like you believe them, like an actual partnership, and that way they're more inclined to pay you.
Absolutely. And I do have a broker agreement that they've signed. at that point. But yep, normally I've never had an issue yet. And I like treating people with that higher level of trust and respect so that, at the end, they live up to it. So it's a good thing.
Wow, that's amazing. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I'd like to, yeah, of course. I'd like to shift the conversation a little bit more towards the YouTube side. You said you got a few clients through YouTube and just trying to bring this to a more broad, general sense. How does YouTube play a factor in your business? How are you able to use it to monetize your business?
It's incredible. Oh my gosh. And if I could scream it from the rooftops, I'd tell any business owner, please use YouTube. Even if you don't want to get behind the camera, so Google is the largest search engine in the world. YouTube is second to that. YouTube is a search engine and it's free. And if you create your videos in a way where you're meeting your potential buyers or your potential clients, their pain points, the things that they are struggling with, that they're searching for, which YouTube will show you what people are already searching for. You reverse engineer your content around answering those questions, then people are magnetized and drawn to you. And then from there, I have to say, Vijay, literally, the first 25 people that reached out to me through my eBay Motors video to sell their vehicles across the nation, I'm like, how can I do that? I live in Orlando, Florida. I couldn't get my head around. I can't do this remotely. And then I was like, all right, there's something here. I need to figure this out. And so thankfully I realized, okay, I can do this digitally with DocuSign and that I can figure this out, and being able to work out those systems has been really cool. And it all came through YouTube. For people finding me and people buying my courses. And I have a book coming up and people signing up for that, for the launch list and stuff. It's free. We just have to learn some new tools and techniques. And you can use your phone, just like, we use for our different things. You could just use your Apple phone or device. You don't need fancy equipment for it.
Amazing. So you teach people on YouTube, they build
Mhm.
trust, build rapport with you, and they entrust you with your services just because you've already provided great value
Mm.
already.
Right.
Oh,
Correct.
okay. So with YouTube, let's say how important is it to, I guess, have a strategy, or is it okay just to start posting just to try to figure it out? Or like what was your strategy when you got started into it?
You don't want a channel where you're doing, like, for instance, you don't want to start off just doing vlogs or video, like montages of your day. You don't want to do that because most people, before what they call know, like, and trust you, you need to solve a problem that they're having. So your strategy should be focusing in on who is your ideal client or customer. What are the questions your customers are already asking you on a day-to-day basis? What are the things that you're already solving for them? And do that in video form so that you can appeal to a broader audience. So I would say just make sure that you don't bounce all over the place with your videos. One, your potential viewers won't know what video is coming next. Like, hey, I'm going to Hawaii this week. Oh, I'm, packing up my boxes for shipping. Oh, that type of, or I'm going to go buy a car. So you want to kind of keep it where you're not like bouncing all over the place. Try to stay focused, try to stay in your lane of what services or products that you provide. And then from there, as you continue to create your content, you're going to learn because the viewers are going to tell you, sometimes brutal, but they'll tell you what they are wanting or not wanting out of your content. And you can continue to create content around the most popular. Like for me, I've learned that eBay Motors and photography for digital sales is a big topic that I get a lot of comments on and people reach out to me from. So actually this afternoon, I'll be recording some videos for my channel on teaching them how to just techniques of uploading their pictures to eBay and that type of thing. So your audience will continue to tell you what they want to see or don't want to see from you.
That's great. So you're basically saying niche down and only provide content relevant to that particular brand. Don't be too broad because you're gonna lose followers and or subscribers, right?
Correct. And there's another reason for that. Because YouTube is a search engine, you're talking to the computer of YouTube. So first we want to make our videos for people, but we also want to very much take into consideration, we're making it for a computer. And the AI learning of YouTube, if we bounce around too much, the computer won't know when to serve your video up next in the search results when people are looking for your topic and in your area. So if you stay consistent in those keywords and those topics, then YouTube can do what it does best and try to connect the dots between your content and potential viewers that would enjoy what you have to offer.
That's really interesting. Okay, so serve the AI because that's gonna help you more than anything else. Okay, wow, that's a great concept. Thanks so much for that.
Absolutely.
Of course, I have a question about the content you put out because you said you have a course. How does your content overlap with your course, or what kind of content do you put out that's still educational but doesn't conflict of interest with your course?
Yeah, great question. My husband's always like, don't give away too much free information. Why are they going to buy your courses? But I have found that one, people want step by step approach. So, although the video might highlight one topic or one pain point or solve one question, answer one question for them, a course, I take them step by step from A to Z. Not to mention they work with me. Like I have coaching services as well if people want that higher level of service, or can leave comments within the course and I can help direct them versus just watching a single video, which is one piece of the puzzle to the whole picture, so to say. So, doing giving educational content out online, I have found doesn't it only it kind of wets their whistle. It gets them hungry for more if it's something that they connect with and they like. Everybody's different, so not everybody's going to want to watch my content, but there are people out there that want what I have to offer in that my teaching style, and so those are the people that I love serving online. So no conflict of interest. It just gets them hungrier for more if it meets their needs.
Got it. So when you're creating content, do you kind of spare like just kind of have random or not random, but different areas of the holistic course is kind of all over? Or do you, gosh, I don't know, I'm trying to figure out how to,
For
or do you go
ideas.
kind of chronological when you start posting on YouTube?
So when I first started, first I did a welcome video and then I just started posting on things that I thought that people may want to know about an eBay business, maybe some different problems that they may experience. And then as I continue just posting and then I see what resonates with the audience, I can see the analytics on the back end, how long they're watching, when they're jumping off the video, that type of thing. So I can learn from that very valuable information and continue to double down on what is working. And so for me, at first, I thought I needed to be broader. I needed to cover everything. But then I started to learn that there are a lot of resellers out there. There's a lot of people teaching eBay out there. So if I stay in my lane and do what I do best and narrow down and go deep on a topic, like for me, consignment, selling vehicles, photography. If I just stay in those lanes and keep on, then I get more traction. And like I said, the AI of YouTube, the computer will continue to go out and do its job and performs better that way.
Got it. Thanks so much for sharing that.
Mhm.
So when you got started throughout this entire journey of entrepreneurship, you probably made a bunch of mistakes as
Oh,
every
yeah.
successful entrepreneur has. What do you think was one of your biggest mistakes that you would basically tell the audience to try to avoid?
Yes. So if I could tell my younger self or the audience that are looking to consider to do this, I would say I'm very grateful. I've been really good at making money. And I'm not saying that in any haughty way at all. It actually was a negative because I thought I could out earn my financial stupidity, so to say. I wasn't good at budgeting. I wasn't good at maintaining and being real careful on my spending because I was like, oh, I can just go make some more money and fix the problem. So I felt like at the beginning I grew too fast without doing the back end accounting and bookkeeping and such that is necessary for a business to grow in a healthy way. So if I could tell my younger self, I would want to download what I've learned about sometimes businesses, they aren't hard. They're just day in and day out doing the right thing and being very diligent with your bookkeeping, being very diligent with your spending and projecting for future purchases. Like I went out and I would go get multiple storage units to take on new clients before I even really went through all the inventory. Half of the inventory turned out that it wasn't a good item on I would just rent a truck, come pick it up and start going through it. On the meantime, it's like building or digging a hole and it's falling out in the bottom. I had all this inventory that I'm paying storage on and I paid for the rental truck. And it was like I almost just sold the inventory to reimburse myself for what I did. So not growing too fast is what I would tell the audience. Learn at a steady, what's that the childhood story about the tortoise and the hare? I actually talk about that in my book that's coming out this fall, but it slow and steady wins the race. Don't try to go too fast because you'll realize that it's just not as optimized and as a healthy growth for your business as a result.
I think that's a great piece of advice because as an entrepreneur myself, I definitely do notice myself going like doing these major sprints, and I'm like, okay, let's backtrack a little bit. This is going a little too fast. Let's try, right or let's reorient.
Yeah.
I am super excited for your book. Tell us more about your book.
Thank you. So with when I started my eBay business, the first year I was just trying to find inventory around my city, just trying to figure out what is good to sell online. During the second year, that left me actually that first year having a lot of stuff that I would buy, hoping that it would sell, and then realizing, this isn't good. And then I'd have a garage sale to purge it out to try to regain some of the investment cost. Well, the second year is when I discovered consignment reselling, getting free inventory, like we've talked about. And so I was able to learn without having to spend the money for the inventory ahead of time. I was able to learn further what's good and what's not good for selling online. So during that time, after that, in my third year, I wrote an ebook called, at that time, it was eBay Consignment, the Easy Way. And so this book that I am publishing is switched over to online consignment the easy way. And it's what I've learned over almost 2 decades of how to run a consignment business online, to help hopefully save anybody if they're wanting to do the same from some of the struggles that I've learned.
Yes, that's amazing.
Thank
Congratulations.
you. Thank you.
Yeah, I noticed you use these words a few times throughout this interview. You said what is good and what is bad to sell on eBay. I would love to hear from you. What do you think is good to sell and what is bad to sell?
Yes. Especially if you're getting started, stay smaller on the items. Although I've sold things as big as dental x-ray machines and huge, large format printers, which I had to put on a pallet and have a freight truck come pick up. Try to start smaller first, because the shipping part can undermine your profits if you're not familiar with how to handle that. The other thing is eBay offers, and I didn't know this when I first started, but they will give you the answer, so to say, to the test. You can go on eBay and select the filters, and I have some videos on my channel that go over this, but you can select the filters where you can see sold. So let's say we're selling a Canon camera. We put that in the search results, like we're looking to buy that exact model that you want to sell. And then on the side, you scroll down till you'll find sold listings. It'll say sold and completed. If you click that, then you can see what has already sold. So that's the market. What is the market willing to pay at this time? Because the market fluctuates. What are they willing to pay at this time for this camera? Then I can realize, one, what's the sell through? How many of these things are selling? I can see this one sold on this day, this day. If it's got has a lot of sold comps, then I know, well, there's a good demand for this. And then I can see the price. Let's say I'm at an estate sale and I see a Canon camera and they're asking $50, but I see on eBay that 5 just sold today and they sold for $350. Well, that's a no-brainer. I'm definitely going to pick that up and try to sell it myself. But if they're selling it for $300 at the estate sale, then I may not, because I always like to at least double or triple my investment cost to make it worth my time. So I would probably pass on it at that point and go on to the next thing. So those are some of the things that I look at. You can see what your competition's already doing. Are they charging shipping? Are they not charging shipping? And so on. So you can make good decisions if it's a good item to sell or not online on eBay.
That's great advice. That's great comparing what's actually selling. So similar to real estate, right? You see, hey, this house just sold and, doing the comparables. So that's really interesting. Have you lost money buying something and
Yes.
not being able to sell it?
Yes. Oh yeah. And then I donate it and take the tax deduction and wash, rinse, repeat, learn it, share it with my students and my viewers so they don't hopefully do the same thing, and then just go back out there and do this, learn from that and go from there. But oh yes, definitely. I think any business owner, you learn sometimes and you hate to, but some of your biggest lessons are from your mistakes, and that for me as well. And they're like, okay, next time when I see it out, I'm like, oh no, we're going to pass on that one. That one hurt, but yes, I have lost some money on that. But the good thing is I just kept on going, like, okay, shake it off, on to the next.
Could you tell us a story about a time when you lost money?
Yes. So the first item that I went to purchase out on, so after I sold things that were from around my house, then I was out looking for new inventory, looking for the first time for inventory to sell. And I remember seeing this person on the side of the road that had like a pop up shop, so to say, and they were selling purses and new purses and bags and stuff, which was kind of unusual. But I was like, oh, let me try it. Maybe I can buy these low enough so I can sell them online. I purchased several of those and brought them home, tried to list them. And that's when I learned the most valuable lesson. When you're selling online, you have to think of when the buyer has to know what they're thinking of. You want to sell a brand. You don't want to sell a no-name item because people won't know. There's no way you can connect the dots. Just putting purse in there, you're going to get hundreds of thousands of listings probably that'll pop up. How are they going to find yours? So you want to make sure that you're selling brand, things that are recognized by the public and things that they are on the other end typing in their phone or their keyboard trying to look to purchase this item. So no name generic items are a bad item for eBay. You can sell them on Amazon. That's different. But eBay is not a good item because you need to make sure the keywords connect. So those purses, yep, those were in my next garage sale. I learned a hard lesson, but it stuck with me.
That's great. And that's the reason why I asked, just so the audience and myself can understand, hey, what to avoid in the future.
Yes, yes.
Thanks so much. I have a few more questions for you. And what is your favorite business book, or what is a book that you think definitely helped steer your life into where you are right now?
Eat That Frog. Have you heard of it?
I
It's a
haven't.
funny
No, tell me
title.
about that.
So, Eat That Frog. I think as businesses, like I mentioned earlier, running a business, I don't think is particularly hard. It's just knowing what to do and keep doing it on a consistent basis once you have your systems figured out. But Eat That Frog is talking about basically time management and how they attribute the biggest ugliest task of the day to the biggest ugliest frog. And they talks about, and I think it's Brian Tracy's book actually. Don't quote me if I'm wrong on that one, but it is called Eat That Frog, and it talks about when you start in the day to go and find your biggest ugliest task, your biggest ugliest frog, and tackle that first, because the uplift of the emotion, the momentum that you will receive getting that taken care of will continue to help you eat the smaller frogs of your day as a result. So that's definitely the first thing I think of regarding business.
I think that's a very powerful concept, getting the momentum going right from day one or from the
Yeah.
very beginning of the day and just keep it going throughout the day.
Yeah.
Awesome. And what is a piece of advice you would give to the audience listening? Someone who wants to get started into this business that you're in, what would you tell them?
I would say that time is precious. That's like my montage with life. That's why I resigned from dental so I could stay home with my daughter because I knew she was only going to be little once. And I think that learning to fast track our journeys as business owners so that we learning from our mistakes is powerful, but learning from other people's mistakes is even more powerful. You don't have to have the ouchie from it. So whether if you're wanting to start eBay, whether it's me or someone else, go to someone that's already successful in that industry and learn from them, mentor them, or be mentored by them, whether it's you meet them in person, but most of the time it's we're reading their books, listening to their podcasts, watching their videos type of thing. And if you find someone that's where you want to be, you're going to speed up that journey for yourself. Like for me, I've been selling for almost 2 decades. I have mentors. I'm a part of a mastermind. They sell 7 figures on eBay. Now, I don't want to get that big. I don't want to have huge warehouses. Like I used to have tons of storage units and employees and contractors. I don't want to get that big. And I'm trying to juggle my videos, my YouTube channel and such in addition to my business. But I still find extreme value in working with someone that is at a whole nother level than me. So I would say doing that growth hack, I guess could call it, finding someone that's doing what you want to do and then try to learn from them in the process.
That's amazing. I read somewhere that there are no shortcuts in life other than getting a mentor or joining a mastermind. I think those two would be incredible, right? Gets decades of someone's experience into just a few short hours or a few short weeks and really just absorb the content. So great piece of advice.
Thank you.
And yeah. lastly, where can our audience get in touch with you, Michelle?
Yes. So if you need anything at all, I'm please reach out to me. You can find me on my website, Paladin Global Market. If you want to fill out the contact card, you can just send in there. I was going to offer to your audience a free either digital copy of my book that's coming out or Audible version. Just fill out a contact card and then just say, hey, and tell me which version you would like, and I'll be happy to send that out to you. And if you have any questions, let me know. Paladin Global Market on my website, YouTube, and Instagram. Come find me. I'd love to help.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on the book. When is it coming out again?
Well, it's the cover's done. The manuscript's been done for weeks. It's stuck in formatting. So, oh my gosh, Vijay, I hope at the end of this week. I was talking to my publishing coach on Monday. So our goal is November. If I can't get it in before Thanksgiving, I'm going to wait till January so it doesn't get lost in all the holiday noise, so to say, online. So hopefully this fall.
Well, that's so exciting. I'll put all this in the show notes so people can get in touch with Michelle. Michelle, this has been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. Thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you for the invitation. I really appreciate it.